As brand new video games require mounting investment of time and money, remakes and remasters have become an industry trend. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some highly desired games yet to receive the remaster treatment, and this is the topic of this video. I'd love to hear in the comments what games you'd love to see remade or remastered, but let's get into my first pick. You can't go more than 5 seconds without the chat being spammed with Bloodborne messages during any PlayStation showcase. Adding insult to injury, Bloodborne celebrates its 10th anniversary on the day I upload this video, and as of yet, there is no news from Sony regarding any kind of Bloodborne remake or remaster. But why Bloodborne? From Software created a highly atmospheric world that's brimming with detail inspired by gothic themes and architecture, coupled with the trademark Souls combat that provides rewarding but punishing entertainment. Bloodborne has its fair share of unique mechanics that added to the game's charm. A couple of these include the ability to regain some lost health if able to strike an enemy within quick succession after taking damage, along with weapons having alternate modes providing numerous options for different playstyles. To this day, Bloodborne features some of the most memorable boss fights I've ever played, such as Father Gascoigne, Rom the Vascuous Spider, and Gehrman the First Hunter, plus many more. Unfortunately, despite having all of this going for it and being one of the highest rated PlayStation 4 games, Bloodborne is technically speaking far from ideal. Even playing the game on PlayStation 5 via backwards compatibility, the game suffers from an unstable 30 frames per second with frame time spikes, an input delay that has never been fixed by any patches or updates. Recent developments using the PC emulator Shad PS4 had fans hopeful that a Bloodborne remaster was possible, as modders were able to get the game running on PC at 60 frames per second with enhanced graphics features. Plus, strategic agreements between Sony and From Software's parent company have my personal hopes as high as ever, but on the other hand, Sony's obsession with spending millions on live service games that get cancelled before they even launch seems like a perfectly good idea, rather than giving one of the best remaster studios in Bluepoint Games the opportunity to remaster this gem of a game.
Who enters my domain?
One who would hold you to your oath!
What an amazing game this is! Lord of the Rings Return of the King is an absolute blast to play even 22 years after its original release. Through the game you take control over members of the Fellowship, playing through a collection of key events that take place during the movie. And given that the movie is perfection, you can bet that the video game is too. There's nothing quite like playing as Gandalf as he aids in destroying Isengard with the Ents, or battling against the King of the Dead as Legolas. Each level is packed full of enemies to face and unique mission objectives that keep the game feeling fresh throughout its single-digit playtime. It's very much a case of quality over quantity here. The combat stands up to the test of time. You truly feel like the developers did a fantastic job of replicating the power fantasy of playing as one of these characters, as you mow down the hordes of Uruk-hai on the way to save Eowyn from the Mumakil and Easterlings. I think the game is masterfully strung together with clips from the movie, providing excellent setup for the mission you're about to be part of, and unlocking upgrades through a crude experience strengthens your fellowship, so that by the end of the game, your Aragorn feels like they've got stronger through your actions. I'd not played this game for the best part of 20 years, but I started playing through the game via an emulator in order to make this video, and I was gripped. I ended up playing through all of it over modern games, and it just hits so differently. I'd love to see a remaster of this game, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Keeping the game exactly the same as it is, just updating the visuals and performance for modern consoles and PC, and just let it loose please. While already well into making this video, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remaster got announced. Checking out the trailer, I spotted the top comment said, "Now all we need is Need for Speed Underground 2. While I disagree this is all we need as a gaming community, I absolutely agree that we do need a Need for Speed Underground 2 remaster or remake. It's easy to spot the cultural impact this game had when it became one of the first games showcased with RTX remakes by IGN. It was this exact video that got me extremely excited about the prospect of seeing this game brought to life using modern graphics tech, and led me to discover the emulator that I'm using to make this video. By today's standards, Underground 2 is a more linear affair with no real collectibles, no jumps, speed traps or billboards to smash through. It's straight up racing and car customization. I love how raw it feels compared to modern racing games such as Forza. Don't get me wrong, Forza is great in its own way, but I can fondly remember spending weekends with friends taking turns to customize a car each and then racing each other in mini tournaments. This was the game that took car customization to the next level, and no other racing game has ever matched up to the options of Underground 2 to this day. Alongside best-in-class car customization, Underground 2 had a brilliant sense of progression, with performance, bodywork and aesthetic unlocks coming in quick succession. The signature Underground Racing League events provide opportunity to unlock new cars, including some fan favourites such as the Nissan 350Z, Subaru Impreza, and maybe the Hummer H2 if that's your vibe. Grand Theft Auto is one of the biggest entertainment properties of all time, and it's possible to access all but one of the 3D GTA games on PS4 and PS5, the missing one being GTA 4. It's perhaps not surprising from a company that still hasn't patched Red Dead Redemption 2 for 60 FPS gameplay on PlayStation 5 and Series X consoles, but regardless, GTA 4 is coming up to 16 years old at the end of April 2025, and I therefore can almost guarantee there is a whole generation of GTA fans that still haven't played this game. GTA 4 was revolutionary when it first launched in 2008 with its open world multiplayer mode and trio of cooperative missions, which I think became the inspiration for GTA 5's heist missions, but it's actually the story mode that I really would like to see remastered. Nico Bellic's journey from damn bad ex-Red Army dude to high-flying gangster is a blast to play even now, and like any great GTA game, features a cast of expertly written characters. Some dickheads, some that just want to go bowling, and some you simply can't understand.
Stop speaking that gibberish!
I also love how direct GTA 4 is. For instance, it takes 5 or more missions to set up a bank heist in GTA 5, right? In GTA 4, you don't even see it coming. You're just told to turn up in a suit for a big job, and a few moments later, you're trying to escape from every cop in the city, carrying duffel bags loaded with green. There was something really refreshing about this approach when I came back to play the game for this video. I also reminded myself that the classic GTA formula of shootouts, over-the-top car chases and gangsters squabbling ages like fine wine, and this is definitely a true statement for GTA 4. You can try play this game on PS3 through rose-tinted glasses, but the nostalgia runs dry very quickly due to poor performance and visuals by today's standards. This is a game that sorely needs a remaster, and PC players could also benefit from an updated version too. Just make it a better one than GTA 5 Enhanced Edition. If I asked you to tell me a game franchise that is synonymous with PlayStation, I'd expect Uncharted to be in the top 5 answers given. And yet there is an Uncharted game that is not accessible on PlayStation 4 or 5. So therefore, I can guarantee fans of the franchise haven't played it, and that game is Uncharted Golden Abyss. Uncharted Golden Abyss was developed alongside Uncharted 3 and launched exclusively on the PlayStation Vita. The game remained solely accessible on that device, despite many other games from the PlayStation Vita library, such as Gravity Rush and Persona 4 Golden, being brought over to the PS4 and thus accessible on PS5 consoles too. Uncharted Golden Abyss shouldn't be underestimated for a game built for a handheld. It's a fully featured, full-length Uncharted game with familiar combat and well-developed cast of characters including series mainstay Nathan Drake, and features a highly annoying protagonist that you truly want to defeat. Golden Abyss has its fair share of unique mechanics that don't appear in other Uncharted games, such as cutting down trees blocking your path with a machete, drawing your climbing path with a touchscreen, and gyro use for balancing on branches, but all of these should easily translate over to the DualSense controller, so I can't see these being an issue for a potential remaster. The game is quite pretty on PlayStation Vita, so I have high hopes that a great looking remaster could be produced, and enable opportunity for a new audience to play this great series entry. Assassin's Creed Black Flag was the flagship game of a golden era of Assassin's Creed. Edward Kenway goes from a man dreaming of a life of riches to captain of one of the most feared ships to sail the seven seas. I think what shouldn't be understated about Black Flag is just how engaging the storyline and cast of characters such as Edward Thatch, James Kidd and Adewale are. In many great stories, it's not usually one central storyline that makes it brilliant, but the many interwoven paths that lead to one great whole. Quite the odd statement, but I think it accurately sums up part of why I think Black Flag is so great. There are so many little stories going on while you invest your hard-earned gold in new upgrades for the Jackdaw, your homestead, and partake in many other distractions you may find along the way. Black Flag is just like the perfect pirate adventure. For such a large open game, it was rare that I didn't find something I wanted to do in the world, and despite my initial skepticism, I grew to rather enjoy the naval combat, especially as the encounters became more challenging towards the end. I also want to give credit to Black Flag's multiplayer, which took the blending mechanic of the main game to a whole new level and produced one of the most unique multiplayers to this day. Black Flag is not a game that needs much doing to it. It's great as it is, but that doesn't stop me thinking that a remaster would go down exceptionally well with Assassin's Creed fans when Ubisoft really needs a win. Resident Evil 5 is an interesting game. It doesn't feel much like a traditional Resident Evil game, but it is a good action game and an excellent co-op game. You play as Chris Redfield with his new partner Sheva as he searches for his lost partner Jill Valentine, while following the trail of a new virus called Ouroboros. RE5 features some truly memorable moments, boss fights and monologues, especially those by Wesker, that make this a prime candidate for an RE engine remake. I recently played through Resident Evil 5 with a friend and had an amazing time, but this experience reminded me about the game's current drawbacks. Unlike RE7, Village and the remakes, Resident Evil 5 uses tank-style controls, which keep the game from feeling fluid and turns the many combat sections into a more of a shooting gallery than the refined gameplay of Resident Evil 4 Remake. There were many other quality of life upgrades in RE4 from a visual perspective that would be great to see in RE5. In single player, Chris and Sheva are practically glued together, so it's crucial that the NPC AI feels smart, but I did not feel that was the case. I noticed a fair few ways in which the AI was a bit dumb, and this was rather frustrating on the higher difficulties. Since RE5 is 15 years old, there have been significant advances in video game AI that would be very welcome. There are also some on-rails or quick-time event sections of the game that I think feel a bit janky and could do with reimagining to make them a bit more interactive. It's clear that RE5 could successfully be updated to the newer combat of RE4 Remake, as they both featured tank-style controls in their original form. Arguably, RE4 managed to maintain its original charm and atmosphere in this process, perhaps even surpassing the original game. I think RE5 Remake would be a great idea for Capcom, especially given the lack of great co-op games being few and far between nowadays. Thank you very much for watching.